Hi, this is Dr. Bitla. Let us discuss the today's topic, that is feedback systems and encoders. Uh, in our previous session, we have discussed CNC spindle drives, feed drives, servo motors, in which we have seen what are AC type and DT type of motors. Then we have discussed stepper motor in our previous session, and finally we are also discussed the slideways. What are the slideways and what is the functionality of the slideways that we have seen, in which we are also discussed the recirculating ball screw bearing, which is used to give the feed motion to the table to reduce the friction. Ball screw bearing is used. These are the previous session contents. Let me move further. What are the contents in this session? The contents of this session includes the feedback systems we will discuss, then feedback systems, what exactly the feedback system, how it is going to work when it is integrated with the CNC system. We will see with the block diagram. We will discuss the feedback system, the entire feedback system with the CNC machine. When the feedback system is integrated with the CNC, how it is going to work, how it is going to receive the positioning signal, uh, that we will discuss. Then we will discuss the encoders. Encoders are the devices which are, in turn, we can call those as the sensors to sense the motion of the spindle or else the table. How these are going to work, we will see. In later, we will see the linear type of encoder, in which we have the incremental type and absolute type. Both we will discuss in this session in detail with the block diagrams, a typical block diagrams, how these encoders are going to work, which may be incremental type or which may be absolute type. So those we will discuss in this session. Let me move further to discuss the feedback system first. Feedback system is referred as a measuring system. Basically, continuously, if it is a CNC machine, table and spindle is continuously in motion. The accuracy of the work totally depends on the accuracy of the motion of the table as well as the spindle. If we are able to rotate the spindle with accurate desired speed that was specified in the part program, if the table is also, if we are able to move the tool according to the, if we are able to move the table according to the required position, according to the specified location in the part program, then the accuracy totally depends on the motions of the table or as well as the spindle. We need to continuously monitor the motion of the spindle as well as the motion of the table, whether the spindle is rotating with the proper, with the specified RPM or not, whether the table is moved to the exact location that we are specified in the part program. Regularly we need to monitor, because the accuracy of the component, accuracy of the machine totally depends on the movements of the position and the speed of the table and as well as the spindle. That means the continuously we need to monitor. As I said, that it is totally the accuracy. So the feedback systems continuously monitor the position and speeds of the moving devices on the NC machine tool. So these which uses, these measuring system, feedback system is also referred as a measuring system, which is going to use the positioning and speed transducers to continuously monitor the speed and motion of the table and the tool continuously. Transducer is a device which converts one form of energy to the another form. That means transducers who have the position and the speed transducers available. So using those transducers or the devices, we are going to continuously monitor the speed and position of the table, speed of the tool, speed of the spindle, or the position of the table continuously. This is what the brief definition or this brief explanation of the feedback system. What exactly the feedback is? That it is a measuring system which continuously measures the position and speed of the table, as well speed of the tool as well as the table, the positions of the table as well as the speed of the spindle. So MCU, machine control unit, uses the difference between the reference and feedback signal to generate the control signal. Basically, machine control unit is going to receive the signal. Then according to that, a signal will be generated using the feedback signal. Machine control unit generates a reference signal. It receives the reference signal and the feedback signal. So based on the reference signal and the feedback signal, one more signal will be generated, that is called the control signal, for correcting the position and speed errors. So the function of the MCU in the case of a feedback system is that it is going to find out the difference between the reference and feedback signals to generate the control signal for correcting the position and speed of the tool as well as the table. That is what the exact function of the MCU. It will receive the reference signal and also the feedback signal. It will differentiate. It will find the difference of the reference signal and feedback signal. In turn, it also generates the control signal to control the motions of the speed and the table on the machine tool unit. This is what the function of the machine control unit. To perform this function, then how do you measure the, because it is the machine control unit needs to receive the feedback signal. Feedback signal means basically at which position is a table, whether the table is reached to the exact location, desired location or not, whether the spindle is rotating with the desired speed or not. Those motions needs to be sensed properly by using the sensors. So that is that, I mean, that requires some devices. So those devices are going to be performed by the encoders. Encoders are attached to the CNC machining system to continuously monitor, to continuously sense the position and location of the moving elements such as tool and as well as the table. I repeat this once again. To perform the sensing, uh, I mean, to perform the function of the positioning, I mean, to sense the position of the tool as well as the table. So there are some devices, those are called the encoders, which are continuously sense the speed and position of the table. In turn, we can call these encoders are the transducers, which converts one form of energy to the another form, or one form to the another form. Like that, these encoders are going to sense the position. According to that position, it generates a signal. So that signal is a feedback signal received by the MCU. So this is what the, let me move further to discuss feedback system with the block diagram. Here you can see the typical block diagram of feedback system used in CNC machine. You can find our intention here is to be more focused on the sensing elements and how the signal is receiving and how the signal will be sent back to the machine control unit. That is what the objective of this figure. Which covers this feedback system diagram covers almost all the elements used in CNC machine tool, which is having the feedback, which is implementing the feedback system. Now you can see here you have a machine tool unit on which you have a spindle. One spindle is going to rotate and a table is going to move, whether it can be a linear upward, forward or backward, all those movements, linear scale. So to sense the movements of the table, there is one linear scale. Okay, and apart from that, so this, I mean, tool needs to be rotated. So spindle needs to rotate, either spindle and table. Spindle needs to rotate. So the rotation of the spindle needs to be sensed continuously. So to sense the rotation of the spindle, there is one device that is called tacho generator. So using this tacho generator, using this tacho generator, the motion of the spindle, the rotation of the spindle is continuously monitored. According to the motion of the spindle, the tacho generator is going to generate one signal. So that is called the velocity feedback. So that velocity feedback, that means this tacho generator continuously measures the velocity of the spindle of the velocity of the spindle continuously and generates the feedback signal, velocity feedback signal. That velocity feedback signal will be sent to the machine control unit. So this is the entire machine control unit where this velocity feedback signal is amplified. Means after amplifying that, this velocity signal will be compared with the reference signal. In this case, we have velocity signal and as well as the speed signal, and we have the tool motion signal. Initially, the velocity feedback signal is compared with the reference signal of the velocity. Then the one more signal will be generated. One more signal will be generated. So that is amplified. That is called one more signal. That is called the correction signal or compression signal. Otherwise you can call it as a control signal. So the control signal will be generated and that control signal will be amplified and sent back to the servo motor to correct the motion of the spindle. Okay, I repeat this once again. Tacho generator is going to continuously monitor, continuously sense the motion of the spindle, and also it is going to generate the velocity feedback signal, and that velocity feedback signal is compared with the reference signal of the velocity, and it also generates in turn by comparing these two reference signal and the feedback signal is compared to generate the control signal, and that is amplified and sent back to the servo motor to correct the error. If there is no error, so there is no correction takes place. That means the error between control signal and reference signal is zero. So then the servo motor is rotating with a specified velocity. This is what happened. If there is any error according to the control signal, the motion of this servo motor will be corrected. Okay, now let me come back to the motions of the table. As you can see here, so this is the spindle motion. Tacho generator is going to sense the movements of the spindle, but here we have a linear scale. Okay, so this linear scale movements are measured. So continuously the movements on the movements of the table on the NC machine tool is measured by the linear scale. In turn, this is going to generate a feedback signal. So that is sent to the machine control unit where this linear motions of the table, where the linear motions of the table signal, that is the feedback signal, linear motions of the feedback signal is compared with the reference signal of the reference signal received by the machine control unit. In turn, by comparing the position of the table and the feedback signal of the table, so if there is any difference between these two, a control signal is generated. Again, that control signal or the position feedback signal is sent to the machine tool unit. Like this, it is going to work. Okay, so this is what happens in the case of feedback system. Feedback system is used to continuously control the motions of the spindle and as well as the table. So you can find an encoder here continuously. This is going to generate the signals. Okay, so this is what happens in the case of feedback system. Let me move further to discuss the encoders. So what are the different types of encoders? Encoder is a sensor, as I said just now, continuously, which is going to sense the motions of the table as well as the spindle or the motion of the tool. So that can be anything. So rotational motion and as well as the linear motion of the moving members will be sensed by the encoders. In turn, you can call it as a encoder is a sensor of the mechanical sensor of mechanical motion. To sense the mechanical motion, we have one device. In turn, we can call it as an encoder. Encoder is a device continuously going to sense the mechanical movements of the devices. So in turn, the encoder generates the digital signals in response to the motion. The function of the encoder is to sense the motion and as well as to generate the digital signals in response to the motion. I mean, according to the movements of the table or the spindle, this encoder is going to generate the digital signal. In turn, we can call it as a feedback signal. The function of the encoder is to sense the movement and as well as to generate the feedback signal. Okay. So then encoder provides the information concerned to the position, velocity, and direction. Yes, it is going to sense properly the motion of the spindle or the table. Then it generates the signal, and that means we have the information. That means the encoder is going to provide the information. That means the feedback signal is having the information pertaining to the position, velocity, and the direction. That's what uh, the meaning of this sentence. So there are two different types of encoders, namely those are the linear and the rotary encoder. The linear encoder responds to the motion along with the path. The objective of this linear encoder, this linear encoder is going to respond only to the motions along with the path. Okay, so the rotary encoder responds to the rotational. Then you can call it as linear encoder is used to sense the linear motion of the path. Okay. The rotary encoder is going to respond to the rotational movement of the component or the devices, rotational motion of the mechanical elements. Okay. Linear encoder is used to sense the motion of the linear motion of the components. In turn, you can call rotary encoder is used to sense the measure the rotary motion of the components. This is what the meaning. So encoder is generally categorized by means of its output. So based on the output, we can classify the encoders. In turn, we have basic types. One is linear and rotary, and we have subclassification that encoder is generally categorized by means of the output. What output we are getting, whether it is a digital output, pulsed output, or a word output, like that we have some output. So encoder gives us some output. Of course, it is a signal. The signal is in the form of pulse or in the form of bit or a light source. Like that, we will see in detail in the coming slides. So as I said just now, the encoders are generally categorized by means of its output. These linear and rotary encoders, these linear basic types of encoders are linear and rotary. These linear and rotary encoders, these basic types are again subclassified into two categories. One is absolute encoder and the other one is incremental encoder. So the construction of these two, absolute encoder and incremental encoder, are quite similar. We will see how these absolute encoder and incremental encoders are going to work. We will see in the coming slides. But the construction of these two encoders are similar. However, they differ in physical properties and interpretation of the movement. The concept is same, the working concept is same, the construction is same, but the interpretation and physical properties are different. We will see in detail this concept in the coming slides. Now let us discuss the incremental type of encoder. Incremental type encoder is a type of encoder that converts the angular motion or position of a shaft into analog or a digital code to identify the position or the motion. That means the incremental encoder converts the angular momentum or angular position of a shaft into an analog or digital code to identify the position. That means the incremental encoder is going to sense the position of the rotating shaft or rotating member by converting the angular motion or position into the analog or digital code. So the function of the encoder in this case is to convert the angular motion or position of a rotating member into the analog or digital code. So this is what exactly the function of the incremental encoder. This incremental encoders are one of the most commonly used rotary encoders. Okay, this consists of moving disc mounted on a rotating shaft, and it also have the light source, LED light source, and it also have the receivers to receive the light. So which are in turn we can call it as a photo transistors, which receives the light and converts the light into the signals. We will see the construction of the incremental encoder in the next slide. You can see the typical figure of the incremental encoder. As I said just now, it consists a rotating disc on which you have the fine slits. Okay, so fine slits, uh, so fine slits you can see, so which are arranged side by side. These slits are arranged side by side. So you have a light source here. This disk is mounted on a rotating shaft, which is going to rotate with some angular motion, angular momentum. So we have a light source, LED light source at this location. So the moment this light source emits the light, this light passes through the slits, which are arranged side by side. Then uh, through the slits, the light of the LED passes through the slits, or the disk is so transmitted to the phototransistors. So yes, you can see one phototransistor here. Of course, that phototransistor is not shown here, of course. So here we have one phototransistor. Phototransistor function is to convert in turn, which is going to convert the light into square wave shaped electrical signals, or the electrical pulses, square shaped pulses. So you can see here the light source passes from the slits which are on the rotating disc. After passing this light from the slits of the rotating disc, this light will fall on the phototransistors. In turn, that phototransistor converts this light into the pulses, electrical pulses, square shaped electrical pulses. So we have a signal converter here. So again, that signal is, you can see here, the square shaped pulses will be generated. Okay, so commonly the encoder has three outputs. So A, B, and Z you can see. So normally, so you have a phototransistor here. That means it is a signal. Of course, in turn, you can say it as a phototransistor. This light falls on the phototransistors. Okay, so these are going to receive the signals or the light. Sorry, this phototransistor is going to receive the light and converts this phototransistor into the signals. You can see pulse-shaped signals. So namely, the output of this incremental encoder consists of three pulses. One is A, B, and Z. Okay. Three pulses, three outputs, A, B, and Z. And all the three are square-shaped pulses. Square-shaped pulses. Square wave-shaped electrical signal. In turn, you can call it as square wave-shaped electrical signals. The AB and Z are square wave-shaped electric signals. The total number of A and B pulses represents the revolution, pulse per revolution. That means PPR. When we combine the pulses of A and B together, represents the uh, pulses per revolutions, PPR. So with which the angular position and speed can be calculated by using the pulses of A and B together. The position and speed can be calculated. Okay, that is the beyond the scope of this content. So using, as of now, you try to understand that using this pulse A and B, the angular position and as well as the speed can be calculated. Okay, so you will get one when you combine A and B signal, you will get the pulse per revolution, PPR. Okay, that means it is the position and speed of the shaft, angular momentum of the shaft can be calculated. The A and B pulses are then shifted to 90 degrees phase. That means these are shifted to 90 degrees phase, so which allows the identification of the direction of the rotation. Okay, so then we will shift the slits into 90 degrees. So that means we will get one signal before, and after that we will get one signal, and both the signals are 90 degrees phase, as you can see here. Okay, so you will get the 90 degrees phase. The first part, pulse A is this one, okay, and pulse B is this one. So this is the first generated signal, and it is the secondly generated signal. Okay, so initially, before rotating the slits into 90 degrees, you will get one signal. After rotating the slits into 90 degrees, I mean after changing the slits into the 90 degrees, then we will get one more signal, that is pulse signal B. Okay, so by combining these two, one more signal is generated, that is called the reference signal, that is called Z. Okay, so in this way, so for example, when rotating in the forward direction, pulse A is head of pulse B, of course. There is another pulse called Z pulse, index or reference pulse, besides the pulses A and B. This is actually the reference pulse besides A and B. The pulse Z is generated once per revolution. This pulse Z is generated for one revolution and can be used to set the reference position of the spindle. This is exactly the working principle of the incremental encoder. Okay. Then I move forward to discuss the other type of encoder, absolute encoder. Absolute encoders are the devices, are the feedback devices uh, to, the, to provide the speed, position, and information by outputting the signal, digital signal, in the form of the digital word or bit type. That means the absolute encoders are the devices which are the part of the feedback systems, which are going to provide the information such as the speed, position, by outputting a signal that may be in the form of digital word or maybe in the bit form in relation to the motion. So with respect to the motion of the table or the moving member, so which provides speed and the position information by outputting a signal that may be in the form of digital word or that may be in the form of bit. Okay, so in the previous case, in the case of incremental encoder, we are getting a signal that is a pulse shaped signal continuously we are getting. Okay, the output in the case of incremental encoder is square wave shaped electric signal, but whereas here the output, the absolute encoder output, is in the form of digital word or in the form of bit with respect to the motion of the moving member. This is what the basic difference between absolute and the incremental encoder. Okay, then unlike the incremental encoders, as I said just now, this is going to give us the uh, signal. So this is going to give us output in the form of, this output is unique output in the form of words or bits for each position of the moving member. I repeat this absolute encoder gives us output that is in the form of, the output is unique in its nature. The output is unique in its nature in the form of words or bits for each position of the moving element. Whereas in the case of the incremental encoder, so we will get the stream of pulses, square pulses, stream of pulses we will get. So square pulses we will get, square stream of pulses we will get in the case of incremental encoder. Okay. So the absolute encoder contains the same components as that of the incremental encoder. However, the physical appearance and the properties and the output is different. As we have seen, the output of the absolute encoder and the incremental encoder is different. The output is different. However, it can have the same components. So these encoders implement the photo detector to receive the signal, to receive the light. In turn, we will get the unique words or bits. The output will be in the form of words or bits. Okay, so this consists, uh, this absolute encoder also consists a disk. But whereas in the case of uh, incremental encoder, we have slits side by side. The slits are arranged side by side. But in this case, the slits are arranged in the form of concentric circles. As you can see, the slits are side by side here. But whereas in the case of the absolute encoder, the slits are arranged concentrically, in the form of concentric circles like this. In this case also, we have a disk which is mounted on the shaft, which is rotating with some RPM, or which is having some rotational motion. So as I said just now, we have this is also having the LED light source. So this LED light source is going to emit the light. In turn, that light passes from the slits of the disc, which are arranged concentrically. After passing that, so this light passes from the stationary, the mask. Here we are calling it as a mask, stationary mask, which will purify the light. And again, that light is going to fall. That light is made to fall on the photodetector. Okay, this photodetector is going to detect the light coming from the stationary mask. In turn, this is going to generate the unique word or bit to sense the motion of the rotating member or the moving member. So this output is unique in its nature, and that uniqueness represents the motion of the moving element. Here it may be a shaft. Okay, so let you can see. So as I said just now, the slits are arranged concentrically. The slits are provided concentrically on the disk, but unlike in the case of the incremental encoder, the slits are arranged side by side. But you can see the slits are arranged concentrically. This is also having some radius. This is also having some radius. So in the form of concentric circles, the slits are arranged, or in the form of tracks you can call, like CD disc, CD drive, CD disc, CD drive. We have then DVD drive. We have tracks. So like that, here the slits are arranged. Okay, the basic principle is that the light source emits the light. In turn, this light passes from these tracks, slits of tracks, and that light again passes through the slits of the stationary mask. Then this light in turn is going to fall on the photodetector. The function of this photodetector is to convert the light into the unique word or the bit, which corresponds to the position of the moving element. This is exactly the basic principle of the absolute encoder. Okay, so the bit configuration is provided by the light, which is received by the photodetector when the disk rotates. Okay, finally, as I said with you, it is going to receive. Then the light configuration received is translated into gray code. Okay, as a result, the position has a unique bit configuration. We can call this bit or word as a gray code. That means as and when the light source falls on the photodetector, it converts as the bit or a word. That means we can call that as a gray code, which is unique in its nature to sense the movements of the rotating member or a moving member. This is exactly the principle of the absolute encoder. Let me move further to discuss the linear encoder. Okay, linear encoder is a sensor or a transducer or a reading head linked to the scale that encodes the position. As of now, we have discussed the rotational movement we are able to sense. So absolute and incremental encoders are used to sense the movements of the rotating member. But whereas here we have a encoder which is used to sense the linear movements of the moving members, linear motion of the member. members. This linear encoder is used to sense the linear motion of the members. Okay, linear encoder is a sensor. Of course, encoders, all the encoders are the sensors. In turn, we can call it as a transducer or a reading head, which is linked to a scale that encodes the position. Linear encoder is linked to the scale where it is going to encodes the position. That means this linear encoder is going to sense the position along with the help of the scale. Every time the movements of the linear movements of the moving member will be sensed by using this linear encoder by using a scale. We will see this along with the figure in the coming slide. The sensor reads the scale and converts the position into analog or digital signal. At the scale, we have the sensor to read the movements, linear movements. Okay, this sensor reads the scale and converts the linear movements of the scale. This sensor is going to read the linear movements of the scale and converts the position into analog or digital. So that is transmitted, that is transformed to a digital readout or digital form. Okay, so let me move further to discuss this in detail. So this linear encoder consists a light source and also having a lens, light source and lens. This light source is going to emit the light. In turn, this light will passes through the lens. So that light again will be passed through the scanning reticle. So this scanning reticle is a member which is having the slices side by side. So this scanning reticle consists of slots, small slots, so through which the light passes. So this is located in the eyepiece of the any of the optical device or the eyepiece of the linear encoder. So in turn, this light passes from the lenses to the scanning reticle. So you will find the five grades or 5 slits. So initially, 4 slits are used. So after passing this light from these 4 slits, okay, of course you can find 5 slits here, but initially 5 slits are used, and the light which is passed from these 4 slits again passes from the from the scale. Okay, from the scale. So on which again this light, the moment of the linear moment of this scale is going to vary the output which is passing from the scale, and that signal will be again and again that the detection of the light by the photosensor produces the sinusoidal wave. Okay, we will see that the scale then transforms the uh, detected light beam. So when the scanning unit moves, okay, so but here we have a scanning unit. Basically here we have a scanning unit. So the moment this scale moves, the scanning unit is going to receive the signal according to the movements of the scale, according to the variation in the light coming out from the scale. So signal will be generated. Okay, the light source and lens produces a uh, parallel beam of light that passes through the 4 windows of the scanning reticle. Scanning reticle, a series of fine lines or slits which are placed in the eyepiece of any of the optical device. So the 4 scanning windows are shifted to 90 degrees apart first. First, this light source passes from the 4 windows of the scanning reticle. Windows are the slits, are the passages in turn, you can call this as the fibers. Okay, so the moment this light passes from this scanning reticle windows, again this light is going to fall on the scale. So this scale is going to sense the deviation, sense the continuously. This scale is going to sense the light, in which pattern the light is coming, in which phase the light is coming. So this light is again falls on the photocells to send or to generate the signal. Okay, so again this scanning reticle is shifted to 90 degrees apart. 90 degrees apart, that means it is rotated to 90 degrees. Then the one more signal is generated. One more signal is generated. According to that, the light then passes through the glass scale and it is detected by the photosensor. After passing, the four scanning windows are shifted to 9. Initially, you will get one signal. The four scanning windows are shifted to 90 degrees apart. Then the light passes through the glass scale and is detected by the photosensor that we have here. Photocells are the photosensors. So in turn we will get the sinusoidal wave. In turn, we will get the sinusoidal wave. The detection of the light by the photosensor produces the sinusoidal wave output. That's all. The linear encoder system then combines the shifted signals to create the two sinusoidal. So initially we will get one signal, and after rotating the scanning reticle to 90 degrees, we will get one more signal. In turn, we will get two signals in this case, which are symmetrical but 90 degrees in phase difference. Initially, we will get one signal, and after rotating the scanning reticle to 90 degrees, we will get one more signal, but those are similar in its nature, but the phase difference is 90 degrees. A reference signal is created by comparing these two. So that is fifth pattern on the scanning reticle and aligned with the identical pattern on the scale. Okay. So one more signal is generated using these two signals, which will be passed from the fifth slit. In this manner, linear encoder is going to work. As you can see here, so we have two signals. So one is before shifting to the 90 degrees, and after shifting 90 degrees, we have 90 degrees phase. Initially, it is starting at this location at the 0 degrees. And after that, it is after shifting the scanning reticle to 90 degrees, one more signal is generating. That is 90 degrees phase difference with the initial signal. This is what the working principle of the encoder. In turn, by using these two signals, one more signal is generated that is called the reference signal. So according to that, the position, by using this reference signal, the position of the moving element will be sensed. Okay, so how this position signal is going to sense, that is beyond the scope of this syllabus. We will discuss if time permits in the coming slides or in the coming sessions. Okay, then this is what the linear encoder. Linear encoder is used to sense the linear movements of the moving member. Okay, so this also uses the light source. In turn, it generates the two sinusoidal waves, which are in the 90 degrees phase difference. These two sinusoidal waves are going to in turn generate one more signal that is the reference signal, and using that reference signal, the movements of the moving element will be identified. So the linear movement, why we are calling it as a linear encoder, means the linear movements of the scale we are using here to sense the linear movements of the moving object. Then in the next session, we will try to discuss the part programming, what is the importance of part program. Then we will see the steps involved in NC or CNC part programming, what exactly we need to follow, some steps to write the part program. As of now, I'm frequently using one word, the signal will be generated. MC is going to generate one signal according to the part program. A part program consists all the data and movements in the form of, part program is nothing but the instructions. Part program consists the sequence of instructions. According to those instructions, the NC machine needs to act. Okay, like speed, feed, depth of cut, and the movements of the tool as well as the movements of the table will be specified in the part program, and the movements, whether to use the coolant, whether to change the tool frequently after completing one hour, all those information will be carried by the part program. Okay, so we will see the steps involved in NC and CNC part program in the next session. First, we will discuss the introduction, then we will discuss the steps involved in NC and CNC part program, in which we will see the G codes and M codes. This part program will be in the form of G code and M code programming. NC coding is also nothing but the G code and M code programming. So M stands for miscellaneous, G stands for preparatory functions, miscellaneous functions and preparatory functions. Okay, so types of part programs, we will see how many ways we can write the part programming. Uh, Maybe manual type or computer assisted part programming type. We will see the different part programming languages used outside. Then we will see the coordinate system. Finally, if time permits, we will go beyond this topic also. So these are the tentative topics that we are going to cover in the next session. Let me go back what we are discussed as of now. Uh, Let me go back to see what we are discussed as of now. Linear encoder we are discussed. Then absolute encoder we are discussed. Incremental encoder we are discussed. Right. In detail along with the figures. Absolute and an incremental. Then feedback system we are discussed how feedback system is going to work uh, in integration with the machine tool. I mean, when it is going to receive, from where the signal is going to receive, and how it will be amplified, how it will be generated, and where this control signal will be received to correct the motions of the spindle as well as the motions of the table. So that we are discussed using this feedback system block diagram. And then this is what we are discussed as of now. So in the next class, we discuss the part programming part. Basically, we focus on the part programming part. So this is all from my side in this session, and thank you one and all for this session. Thank you.